rise together, stronger than ever now. We rise up now.
Our voices matter, the chains we shatter now.
We rise up now. I'm mad, you mad, we matter now. I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now.
Here we go.
They wrote the story, we changed the letters now. We rise up now.
Honor those before me, on wings of glory now.
We rise up now. I'm mad, you mad, we matter now. Ooh, I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now.
I want you to know that no matter what you're going through in your life right now, no matter who you love, no matter what color your skin is, that you are worthy, that you are unbounded, and that your voice matters. And together, we rise. Come on, forward.
We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, unbounded.
Welcome to the kingdom, everybody. Oh my goodness. I am so excited and so honored to be with you today. And I just playing our song as we were coming in, just like made my heart explode. So hello, everybody. Hello, Amanda and Maureen and Chris and Devin and Melissa and Amy and Colleen and Alonzo and Bruce and our entire community here together. I am so grateful and so thankful to be with you all today, and I just want to make sure that you can all hear me okay, and that everything is okay with the volume and everything is fine. And if this is your first time here at the Kingdom, I want you to just make sure you type into the chat box that it's your first time and where you're from, and then everybody else type in where you're from. I see some of you are already doing it. Melissa from San Diego and Amy from SoCal and Dion from St. Louis, and it's just so wonderful to be with all of you. I'm so thankful. And we have a really special session planned for today. Hi, Dairis. Oh my gosh. Judes, hello. Kaylee, hello. Beth, hello. Oh. So we have a very special session planned today, and we have a special musical guest coming in. And let's just get started. So today's session, really beautifully. And as we're coming into the Kingdom, you all know that I love to talk about what we believe here at the Kingdom. And we believe that all beliefs are welcome here. We believe that all biologies are welcome here. We believe in the power of music to open our hearts and our minds. We believe that wisdom can come from many places. And so sometimes we talk about spirituality, and sometimes we talk about practicality, and sometimes we talk about science, and we weave it all together. We believe in expanding our definition of self. And this is, and always I say this is my most important one, that we don't just honor or tolerate each other's differences, but we know that we're stronger because of them and we rise together. Together. So hello and welcome to all the newcomers. Hello, Risa from Honolulu. Hello, Maureen. Hello, everybody, Seattle. And look at us, growing. Newark, Oakland. Oh my gosh, Dallas, Switzerland, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Trinidad. Welcome, Judes, for your first time. You're in for a special session today. Carmela from Italy. Oh my goodness. Japan. We're all together, y'all. This is so cool. And you know, I think with everything going on in the world right now, especially in the United States, but really everywhere, you know, this is what we need to remember that we can and we really do want to come together. And so I invite you, as we're going through this process of our kingdom time together, to invite your friends, to invite your family members, and can somebody let the guy know in the chat box to refresh if he's not able to hear anything right now, to just hit refresh on his thing, and he should be able to hear whoever's here right now, Pyro guy. All right, I love you all. So I invite you, as we go through our format today, which is either usually, you know, a poem, a prayer. For those of you the first time, we dive in with a prayer, and we have music and song woven throughout our teachings, and we have a practice. And today's practice is going to be kind of done throughout our entire session. We end with a golden nugget so that you have your main takeaway that you want to make sure you have for our session, and a power action to help take this into your life. Because one of the things that I think is so important to name here, one of the things that's so important to name is that if we don't take these teachings and move them into action in our life, then nothing will ever change. And so that was one of the things for me with church. You know, for example, like I grew up in church, and think church can be great sometimes, but I always felt that we would be inspired, but not always inspired into action, inspired into change. And my mission with all of these sessions is to inspire you into action and change. So I invite you right now to give yourself full permission to bring your full attention. Bring your full attention today, because we know how this works. I say this every week, and I think it's important as a reminder, is that this exact thing that you're needing to hear is going to be said in that moment when you were distracted. So bring your full attention. This is a gift for you. It's not for me to say, pay attention to everything I'm saying. This is your gift to you. That's why you're here. And so I hope every word that's spoken today helps uplift you and helps you become who you want to be. Beautiful. And so glad your sound is working now. Power Guy, the community, took good care of you. So we should be good to go. So as we begin, as usual, we'll start right now with our prayer. So when we pray here at the Kingdom, you can do whatever you'd like. I like to place my hands over my heart like this. And, you can, if you choose to come into prayer or whatever it is that you want to do. But remember that in a moment, when I lead us in the beginning of the prayer, which welcomes in all religions and all divides and all sides and all beliefs, and even things that are not belief, we welcome it all. And when I pause, really take that moment when I say to bring in your personal prayer, especially if this is your first time, to say your either religious prayer that you want to call in or invoke, your spiritual prayer. And if you don't have one of those that you want to call in, just set your own intention for this day, or even just for this session. All right, let's begin. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be. We thank you. Thank you for bringing us together in this moment. Thank you for expanding and opening our hearts and our minds so that we can hear the exact message that we were meant to hear today. Thank you for giving us permission to feel even with the rising tides of the emotions that are so heavy and so deep sometimes during this time, during this pandemic, during this social unrest, we know that if we are allowed to feel it, then we can heal it. And we thank you for giving us the strength and the power and the courage to step into our vulnerability and to feel even the things that we were scared to feel before. Because we are the first generation with the opportunity to do this work, and we thank you for putting us here. We know we are exactly who is meant to be alive in this time, and we know that the healing we do on ourselves now in the present heals generations backward and generations forward. So may we rise up. May this be our time. And we thank you, God, Spirit, Universe, all the names that you go by, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, for bringing us right here, right now, into the center of infinity. That's all there is. And so now in this moment, I invite you to call forth your personal prayer. I'll be silent for the next few seconds and just invoke whatever you'd like for this session today or for your day. Begin. God, Spirit, Universe, all that ever has been, all that ever will be, we thank you. Let all the words that are spoken today by me and by everyone in the chat box, and all the thoughts that are even brought up and all the ideas that come and all the sharing that we do with our friends and families after this, help us take this ripple out into the world. And I'll just close our prayer today with a short prayer of protection, which I got from Brenda Villa, who is a guest here. It goes like this. I call upon a divine ray of love and protection, and I draw a circle around me and my body. Me and my bodies. And in this circle, I place the white light of peace, the blue light of healing, the clear red light of energy, and the orange light of courage, and the purple light of protection. And I demand and declare that nothing and no one shall come between me and my circle. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Satnam, Om. Thank you. Let's begin. So, today's session, I think many of you will really enjoy. And this session that we're doing today is on the power of emotions. The power of emotions. And we are going to dive deeply into this today in a way that really I've been kind of, as I think y'all can tell, I'm like taking us on a little journey, right? And we're preparing. And last week we got to dive in together with the power of music and our voice. But what does this sharing space of our voice even come from? What is it that we want to share, especially as it relates to our voice and the way we step into the world and how emotions show up in our lives? And what we do, and Alonzo named it, and I'm going to dive into this later. Alonzo named it right there in the chat box. If you can feel it, you can heal it. Right? If you can feel it, you can heal it. But if you don't feel it, you can't heal it. And it just keeps going. But we're going to get into that. Hi, Mom. I see my mom here today. And so and my mom has a special Zoom thing going on later today. Mom, you should put your Zoom thing in the chat box so people can come join your Zoom thing. My mom's hosting her first Zoom session today, you guys, ever, for her Mary Kay thing that she's doing, and I'm so excited for her. So she's like, I don't know how you do this every week. It's so much work. So good luck today, Mom. I'll be there. And so what I want to get into is this. We all have a story around how we might have pushed down our emotions. We all have stories of moments when we haven't been able to feel what it is that we need to feel in order to heal. And I'm gonna get into exactly what I mean by that right now. So let me tell you all a story, okay? So many of you will be surprised to hear this, but once upon a time, long, long ago, I was actually engaged, okay? I was engaged to an incredible man, incredible young man, who was my partner at the time. And I was in therapy with him, and we started going to couples counseling before we ended up breaking up. And I'm in the therapy session. It was one of my early days therapy sessions. I was like 20, I think I was 23 or 22. And I am in therapy, and the therapist goes, and she asks me straight up, she goes, so with this situation, Justin, how do you feel? Like, how is this making you feel? And I remember in that moment saying, well, I feel like he is not listening to me. And she goes, no, how do you feel? I said, I feel like every time I'm talking, he has something to say. Like he thinks he knows what's right. And she goes, no, how do you feel? And I just kept saying, I feel like, and she, in that moment, gave me this thing that I have taken with me like forever, which is anytime you say, I feel, and the word like follows it, you're not saying how you feel. You're turning it into a narrative or a story. And often pointing the finger of blame of how you feel, quote unquote, onto someone else. Okay? So like when we say, I feel like, and especially if it follows with you or like he or like whatever, usually you're on the wrong track, okay? And I remember learning that for the very first time in that therapy session. She was like, take the word like out. And then what do you have there if you just say, I feel? And it's so interesting because, so many of us, we have to think about when we're going through understanding our feelings. Do we have our feelings or do our feelings have us? Do you have your feelings? Do you have feelings, rather, is what that should say? Or do they have you? So oftentimes we hear ourselves, even when we're trying to do things, right? Like things that we want to do or towards our growth or towards our expansion. Or we're in a certain way in a relationship with somebody or in a work situation or in our creative projects. We say, okay, well, I'm in my feelings. I'm in my feelings right now. I just don't feel like it. Or I wasn't feeling it. Or I don't feel good, right? So just think about this. This is a very light example, and we're going to deepen this in a few moments. But I want you to think about this. Like, when is the last time that you committed that you were going to do something for yourself? And then the moment came for you to do it, and you said, I don't feel like it. I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't in the mood. I just wasn't in the mood. Okay? And so when this happens, you have to notice. I'm going to go back to this slide. Do you have your feelings or are they having you? When you're saying and you're committed that you want to do something for yourself, for your life, for your growth, for the world, for social justice, for the movement, okay? And so we ask ourselves, if you get in that space, I don't feel like it. I'm not in the mood. Do your feelings have you? or do you have your feelings? So we're just I'm just leaning us into this because y'all know I'm coming with you. This is just the beginning, okay? And so when we talk about this idea and this concept of emotional health, I want to be very clear about this. This is important because this is something that we're throwing around all the time. Emotional health and wellness and well-being. The actual definition of emotional health has nothing to do with always feeling good, always feeling peace, always feeling love, always feeling good or gratitude. Emotional health, I need y'all to look at me, okay? Emotional health means you have the capacity to feel, period. It's not about feeling good. It's not about feeling peace. It's about being able to feel, period. Having the capacity to feel with and paint with the full spectrum, full palette of your emotional wheel, not just the emotions that are easy to feel. And this is what resilience is all about. And they actually even did some incredible studies. I cited some of this in my book, that studies have shown, there's several, that faking a smile is actually more detrimental long-term to your emotional health than actually just allowing yourself to feel sad. And so we can all think of those moments in our lives where we've forced ourselves to go do something, or we forced ourselves to be in a relationship that we didn't want to be in, or we forced ourselves to be at a party when we really were exhausted and wanted to go home, or we forced ourselves away from the truth of what was happening inside of us, but in a way that was out of alignment with our truth, that was out of alignment with who we wanted to become. And so I want you to have that understanding that emotional health doesn't always mean feeling good. It means you have the capacity to feel. Now, I know some of you, as I'm talking right now, might feel like I'm saying two different things, okay? So I want you to follow me here. This is by one of my mentors, Jim Selman. And he said, this is a quality of great leaders. Great leaders know, okay, that you cannot let your emotions dictate your commitment to your path, okay? So understand this. If my emotions were the commitment to my path, dictating that, then every time I was tired, every time I felt overwhelmed by what was happening in social justice, every time I felt like angry about it, every time I felt over it, like I just didn't want to deal with it, then I would be not committing to the path that I've set forward for myself. Okay? And then at the same time, you can't deny your emotions, and instead what we want to do is let them inform us. I need you to understand this. So when Jim is saying, don't let your emotions dictate your commitment to your path, and at the same time we're saying this same thing of don't deny your emotions, instead let them inform you, you have to understand that there's this dance happening together. So when we're talking about this, we have to have this clear distinction. This is why having a vision is so important. And this is why I talk about a vision so much in my work. Because if you have your path, for example, Alonzo, who's going to be our special guest today, is on this incredible rise, an incredible path to being a recording artist. And he is a recording artist, but to being a world-renowned recording artist. This is his path. And throughout that path, you're going to have many emotions. I'm over this. This is not going good. This is going great. This is going amazing. I'm disappointed in myself. I feel sad. I feel like I failed. I feel all these different things are going to happen on that path. But if you let your emotional state, which is fleeting and passing, emotions are meant to change. That's what they do. None of them stay forever. If we let our emotional state dictate our commitment to our path, then we're not actually on a path. We're just constantly kind of oscillating with our emotions, okay? Now, at the same time, you have to recognize when your emotions are informing you something about your path, or about where you're headed, or if you're off your path, or if you're doing something that is unrelated to your path. Like, for example, the example that I gave earlier of like, okay, simple thing, your path is about you becoming, is you working on your body, okay? And then you decide that you want to go to some party where everybody's okay, let me actually give a better example. Let's say you've decided that part of your path is sobriety, and you have decided that you're not drinking. Okay, this is your path, this is where you're going. And then somebody invites you to some party at your favorite bar that's gonna have all your favorite drinks. And you're excited and you feel like going, right? You feel like going, and your feelings are telling you and informing you that you're actually excited to be there. Okay, so if you go, and then in that moment you're having fun and you decide, I feel like drinking, right? I feel like drinking, that in that moment you have to decide, what are these feelings informing me of? So it's not saying that the feelings control where you're headed on your path. It may not mean, well, I felt like drinking, so I just drank. Well, no, that's not on your path. Are you understand what I'm saying? But what the feelings can inform you of is that you may not be as far done healing as you need to even be in that environment in the first place. Or what it might be informing you is that you can be in that environment, but you're not feeling open and wild enough, or you're not feeling free enough in yourself. And so we can stay on the path, be conscious of our feelings, okay, of what's coming up, and let that inform us as we're moving forward. Can I get somebody in the chat box to let me know if you're following me on this? Because this is complex, right? On the one hand, we don't let our feelings dictate our path. But on the other hand, we honor and claim and feel so that it can inform us in the direction that we're going. Okay? So this is super powerful. I love this. Meta Mike said our emotions are like ocean waves, constantly shifting with the tides. Yes. Susan says it's knowing how to confront without letting your feelings get in the way. And love it, Mom. I'm glad you're posting your Zoom stuff on there. Yay. So great. Y'all are with me. Okay? So let's take this a step deeper. Now, let's take this a little step deeper. And I'm going to, let's see. Perfect. So this is something that I said in the prayer, and what is super important of why you can't just ignore your feelings as you're on your path. Because if you're ignoring your feelings when you're on your path, then you're not feeling, and what you don't feel, you cannot heal. What you don't feel, you cannot heal. You'll continue to push it down. And what we push down, y'all know what happens. When you continue to push something down over and over for long enough, what happens? It ends up seeping out into your life, into places that it doesn't belong. If you're not feeling that pain of the loss or the grieving or the death of your mother or a loved one or something like this in your life, then you're pushing it down. You're not letting yourself cry. You're trying to be strong. You're just trying to move on. You're trying to go towards your path because you don't have time to feel. Then all that's going to happen is it's going to seep up into all these spaces in your life where it doesn't belong. Where it doesn't belong. And so this is a super important thing to name because you can't avoid it. It's going to end up showing up in your body. It's going to end up showing up in you gaining weight. It's going to end up because you haven't healed or worked on the wounds. It's going to end up showing up in sickness, in dis-ease, in blowing up at your kids, in getting angry at your partner, in getting irritated and waking up in a bad mood and feeling anxious and breaking down your immune system. It's going to show up in all these ways. Explodes later. That's right, Mom. And then this is what, I love this. Alonzo just said, do not make permanent decisions with temporary emotions. That's it, man. I need to grab that. So, Alonzo, can you remind me of that later? Because I want to use that somewhere and I'll quote you. That's amazing. And so what we have to remember, y'all, is that what I just said, first of all, what you don't feel, you can't heal. And then this one right here, which takes it to the next level, which Sheila Marie, many of y'all know she's like a sister to me now, and I work with her on my self-love course and everything, is what doesn't heal repeats. What doesn't heal repeats. I want you to feel that. And this is why our healing and us feeling is so important and related to what we're doing for this movement for social justice and change, because we are healing for the generations forward and backward. We are healing right here in the center. Many of you here, and if you're going to be in the liberation experience, throw your hands up. I know several of you all here are going to be in the liberation experience with us. You can throw little hand emojis up or something, or a smiley face. And what's super important with this to name, why we even are doing like the infinity model that I created, is because this is the past and the future healing right now in the present. And what you do in the present affects where the future goes, and that weaves, and it is all weaving back and forth through the past. Hi, Erica. I see you here. E. Taylor. I don't know why I just am assuming your name is Erica, but I think it might be. And what we have to remember, okay, is that this work is for your kids and for the kids' kids and the kids and the people you don't even know, and our ancestors, familial and not, that we don't even know. And so you have to think, as I'm talking, I want to be very direct about this, okay? So as we're talking about this, yay, I see so many of you from the kingdom. Sandra, Mary Teresa, Emily, Melissa, Melanie, so amazing. I want to be very direct about this, okay? This has to do, you have to take into account your emotional history. And when I'm talking about emotional history, remember, I'm not just talking about you, the individual you in this body. I'm talking about all that you are as it relates to your past, present, your family, how you grew up, the trauma that you deal with, how comfortable you were expressing emotions in your family, how not comfortable you were expressing emotions in your family, how people of your race or caste or religion or whatever have been historically in their ability to express and claim their emotions. So I've been reading this incredible book that I'm going to do a quote from later, named Caste by Elizabeth Wilkerson, okay? Isabel Wilkerson. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I messed that up. The book is called Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, and she is incredible. It's actually probably the most important book that I've read ever, and it's a lot to read. But one of the amazing things that she pointed out is, we have this image of African Americans, for example, of Black people being strong, like Black people being strong. And there's this value that we have, like being a strong Black man, like being a strong Black woman, and like stuff can go on and you won't cry. You can go to a funeral and you won't cry, and like, don't cry. And like, as long as you're strong, like I gotta be strong for them. And we look back at where this comes from in our emotional history. So you might say, well, this is what my grandma did and this is whatever did. They took it back, this emotional aspect. And I want you to think about this for your own heritage and how this works in your own religion and how the background and ancestry goes for you. So check this out, okay? What this comes from, I want you to listen to me how crazy this is. What this comes from emotional history-wise is African American people, Black people, during slavery had to be up on the chopping block, okay? When their kids and families were getting torn apart and separated. Mothers being sold away from kids, kids being sold away from their fathers and other siblings, having to actually get physically assaulted, where they would have the women strip completely naked on a stage in front of hundreds of people who were going to buy them, and they would use their hands to touch their vaginas and do all these things to see how they felt. Because if the white men raped and impregnated the African women, then they would get more slaves, so they would have more money. So they wanted to see how their wombs were, and they had to stand there and do it on the stage. And during all of that separation and all of that feeling, a husband watching hundreds of men touch his wife, kids watching their mom naked, moms watching their 7-year-old daughters get touched and felt upon in front of an entire crowd of people. If they cried, if they did anything but stand there and smile, they had to do it with a smile on their face. If a tear rolled down their eyes, then what that showed was that they were weak and they would get sold for less. And if they got sold for less, or if they didn't get sold, they would get put back home and be given 40 lashes whipped across the back that they had to count. And so they learned to actually, no joke, they had to perform and dance and sing to show how much they could do, that they could perform for the big balls and the big galas while their kids were getting taken off, not being able to hug and say goodbye, not being able to kiss them, not being able to look at them as they get taken off, never to be seen again. This is American history, okay? And so this is absolutely important okay? This is so important because for African American people, it is trained through our ancestry, meaning those of us who were able to not feel stayed alive. Those of us who were good enough at not feeling stayed alive, and those genes got passed forward, okay? And so this is why your history, all the way back up to what you think is just your family history, matters. And I know this is deep. I know you probably feel a lot of emotions coming up as I'm sharing this, but I know that I can keep it real with y'all right now, okay? And so for those of you who haven't read Caste, you got to read this, okay? And like Susan said, my past has too much traumas. And Meta Mike says this speaks how to generational trauma is so destructive, but it's our responsibility, I love that with the dash, to heal. Because when we heal, when we claim our feelings, then we're healing generations backwards and forwards for people who weren't allowed to do what we're able to do today. And so it is time for all of us to reclaim, okay? To reclaim our emotions. To reclaim our emotions. And so I'm going to walk us through, in just a moment, something that I'm going to introduce to you that we're going to start using as a practice. And some of you may have seen this before, and this may be new to some of you. So this on the screen right now that you're seeing is called the Feelings Wheel, and it's by somebody named Gloria Wilcox. Okay, and I know for some of you, if you're watching on your phones, this is probably teeny tiny and you can't see it, so I'm going to enlarge it for you. But if you're watching on a computer, hopefully you can actually see some of the words. And I am going to walk you through a little bit of what this actually is and how it works, okay? So the Feelings Wheel, if you see it, you're gonna see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors that kind of delineate these different basic emotions. And if we start at the center of the wheel, you'll see that there's sad, mad, I'm going from left to right. Purple is sad, red is mad, orange is scared, yellow is joyful, green is powerful, and blue is peaceful. So these is what Gloria Wilcox calls the basic emotions. And for those of you who are having trouble seeing this, and also for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm putting a link in the chat box, and there's also going to be a link in the description of the podcast episode so that you can actually pull up the full wheel in PDF form for yourself. So I put that in the chat box, but just be careful if you're on a phone, you clicking on that might take you away. So just be careful, okay? And so these are the basic emotions. So I want you to follow this with me, all right? I'm gonna walk us through this and then we're gonna do a couple practices. So the 6 base emotions is what's at the center. And then when you kind of branch out from that, you see these connected emotions that give us greater descriptors, greater language to describe what we're feeling. And one of the things that I see that happens so often with so many of us is when somebody asks, how you doing? Like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you? Right? We so often don't have the language to say how we're feeling. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm just a little off. I don't know. I'm all right. like we don't have the language. But if we can't name it first, if we don't even have the language to name it, we don't even know what the hell we're feeling. And if we don't know what we're feeling, then we definitely can't feel it and we definitely can't heal it. So the naming almost comes first, okay? And so this is gonna give you the capacity to be able to name what you're feeling so that you know what you're feeling, so that you can heal it for the generations forward and backwards. So let me put this back up. So what happens is you can either go from the inside out or the outside in. It doesn't matter where you start because sometimes you may have an easier time noticing a word from the outside that relates to what you're feeling, and then that will help you understand the base emotion that you're feeling. So sometimes you might be like, oh, I'm just feeling mad. And then you'll go to the wheel and realize, oh, you're actually not mad, you're scared. And you don't even recognize it because you're not sure. So watch, I'm gonna show this up close for y'all, okay? So I'm going to go to the top of the wheel here, and I enlarged it a little bit. And so what you'll notice is, for example, let's say you were just gotten a huge argument with somebody, okay? And you try to know, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? So you could either say, well, I'm mad. And so you go to the center and you say, okay, you're mad. And then if you go to mad and you realize, okay, there's angry, yes, I feel that, or I feel rage, do I feel hateful? Which one of these am I feeling? Maybe you feel multiple. And then you can go to the outside, which is how it kind of starts to show up on the external, like you feel frustrated or furious or irritated or skeptical. And these outer ones are related to the ones right below them. And then you might realize, well, I'm mad, but you know what I also feel? Like on the right side, I also feel confused, or I also feel rejected, like you're seeing in the orange section. So you're not just mad, but you're also scared. And so we can recognize, wow, I'm actually mad, but I'm mad because I'm also scared. And what am I scared of? Right? And then recognizing where all of these come from. So this is a really essential part of our process. And let me tell you why, and we're going to go into a really fun practice in a moment. So one of the things that you have to remember when you're talking about your feelings, you all, is that so often we have to think, are we talking about a feeling when somebody asks how we're doing or we're saying how we're doing? Or are we talking about a narrative? This relates super deeply to what I was talking about just in the beginning when I went to therapy with my ex, right? My ex-partner. And talking about, okay, I feel like he did this, or I feel like I should do that. Or, you even hear people when they ask how you're doing. You say, well, I'm good, I've been busy. Or, how are you? Oh, good, I'm about to do this and this and this. Or, I'm good, I've been relaxing all day and I've been doing this and this and this. So notice, those things are not feelings. Those are narratives. So oftentimes, what we do instead of saying what we feel is we start to narrate what's happening or what's happened with someone else, or how you would have done it, or how they should have done it, or whatever would have happened, or even if it's not even a mad or bad thing, just like we end up saying, oh, how are you doing? Or how are you today? Oh my God, it was a good day. Like I went to the store and I went on a hike and I went here and went there. Has nothing to do with how you're feeling. And so after this session today, I think you're going to notice this in your life. And again, going back to this main concept of pretty much anytime you say, I feel like you're on the right track. You're on the wrong track. If you say, I feel like, okay? If you say, I feel like, you know that you're on the wrong track because you're not getting to an emotion. So here's what we're going to do, y'all. We have a really fun little moment planned right now. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through 5 different prompts, okay? And we're going to do this in a fun way so that people listening to the podcast can get it, and those of you who are here live can get it. And just so you know, the podcast is put up, like this episode isn't going to be out for 10 weeks. So you get we're 10 weeks ahead on the podcast. And so for those of you who want to listen to the old episodes on the podcast, it's great. But coming live is the only way that you actually get these sessions like live and in the moment. So I'm super grateful and really honor those of you who come live. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 5 different prompts. There's going to be a couple videos, some music, a live music. I'm going to read something from Cast. And we're going to track our feelings using the emotions wheel. And we're going to type them into the chat box, okay? And if you're watching the replay, you don't even have to worry about typing it in. Just make sure you feel it. And this is what we're going to do. For every single one, this is how we start getting used to our feelings, is we're going to look at the emotions wheel, and then we'll say, what do you feel? And where do you feel it in your body? This is big. What do you feel? And where in your physical body can you recognize the sensation coming up? Is it in your gut? Is it in your heart? Is it in your arms? Is it behind your shoulder? Is it in your head? Is it behind your eyes? Is it on your nose? Is it in your elbow? You'll notice that our feelings as we go through this journey show up in different places in the body. And so this is a really important concept for us to get into. And now before you start beating yourself up about it, I need you to know this. Sometimes you won't know what you feel, okay? Sometimes you don't know what you feel. And sometimes you won't know how to find it in your body. And that's okay. This is a practice. We get better and better at it over time. All right? So the main thing to remember is that this is not about controlling your feelings. I love this quote from Yolo Akili Robinson. He says this, "I do not believe you can control your feelings. What you can do is manage your behavior in relationship to your feelings." Okay, just let that sink in, because this has to do with, sometimes we think, well, being angry is bad. No, being angry is fine. But being angry and then your behavior that comes from that, being you hit somebody or you beat somebody or you cut something down or you do something destructive, the behavior is actually where the problem lies, not in the feeling itself. So many times we're trying to push down our feelings, but what we need to do is welcome the feelings, let it bathe us and move through, so we're not pushing it down, so that we can let it heal. And it doesn't have to keep showing up in our behavior and showing up in our lives in these ways. And this is really, truly a mindfulness practice. It really is. It's probably one of the deepest mindfulness practice, because you can apply this level of mindfulness and emotional intelligence to every area of your day. So let's get into the practice, okay? We're gonna go from concept into the actual practice itself, okay? And so we're gonna start with a video. And I'm gonna show you this video, and this is one of my videos, and every one's gonna be mine, and then we're gonna kind of transition through some different people. And so what you're gonna do is, I want you to watch everything that comes up on the screen like a meditation. Like, just really watch it and just track what starts coming up for you. And if you have the emotions wheel, remember I put the link there, I'll put it in the chat box again, then put the emotions wheel up, okay? And I will also bring it back up onto the screen at the end of each thing. And when we finish, you're gonna type in the chat box what you feel, naming whatever emotions on the wheel you can find, and where you feel it in your body. So we're training ourselves right now, okay? We're training ourselves. And I see Colleen is naming all the things that you're feeling right now. Thank you, Colleen, for already practicing. This is all so beautiful. I see you all connecting. It's so wonderful and so beautiful. So let us dive into the first thing. This is a music video that I made about my grandmother who passed away. And it's a song that is very close to my heart called Here With Me. And many of you have heard it before, but I want you to watch this like a meditation, and we'll jump right back into the feelings wheel just after that. So let me actually just get this ready for us. Give me 1 second. I'm just going, there you are. The feelings wheel is there. And here comes our video.
I wish you were here with me. I know you're in the air I breathe.
So right away, just hands over the heart, and notice, how do you feel? You can even close your eyes. What do you feel? It doesn't even have to be dramatic, or it can be just see if you can feel into the quality first before you go to the wheel. And notice where you might feel it in your body, whatever it is. And then now go to the wheel, which is up on the screen, or it's in the PDF. Okay, and I want you to see what on this, from the center out or the outside in, what is it that you're feeling? Okay, so I'm seeing them come through. Eric says, depressed in my chest. Amy says, loving in my sternum. Colleen says, very energetic and emotive. Jan says, thrilled. Maureen says, heart-wrenching, chest. Meta Mike says, sadness and hopeful. Melissa says, many feels. So Melissa, see if you can name one of them from this. And I know for some of you, it might be hard to see, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Meta Mike says, good, sadness and hopeful in his heart. All right. Mary Teresa says, devastated in my throat. Okay. So I'm going to put, because some people we feel different things. So I have both of them up here. The mad, sad, scared, anxious in my throat and chest. Karen says, inadequate in my heart. Aveline says, creative and alive, belly. Beth says, sad in my heart. Bill says, longing in my chest, depressed throat. So you see how powerful this is. We all metabolize our emotions a little bit differently. Okay, we metabolize our emotions a little bit differently. And I love that Melanie said, called to hold someone, right? So this goes into the behavior the narrative that's getting played out above the feelings. And so it's beautiful that you said that. So you want to go below that, Melanie. You feel called to hold someone from what? What is the feeling? Because we're not going to heal it by holding the person. That might feel really good. But what is the emotion that's looking to come through? So thank you, Melanie, for allowing us to use that. Melanie says scared. Perfect. I saw it now. So let's continue. This is beautiful. We're practicing this. We're practicing. How many of you is this your first time doing this way? It can be a really powerful thing. So right now, I'm going to read to you something from Elizabeth Wilkerson's Cast. Okay. And I'm taking us in, okay, a little bit more deeply. And I want you to stick with me for this because this is, well, you'll see. So I'm pulling up my iPad to get this. So here it is, okay? This is from a chapter in Elizabeth Wilkerson's Cast. Y'all, if you're not reading this book or listening to the audiobook, just do it. Oprah also has on her Oprah's podcast, Oprah's Book Club podcast, they're talking about it. So I'm reading here from my iPad. This is from page 113 and 114 of Cast. So I want you, as I'm going through this, to do the same thing. You might even close your eyes as you're listening, but just listen with your full presence and let the emotions rise and know where you feel it in your body. Okay? Honoring what you're feeling. I know we're moving through some emotions pretty quickly here. All right, here we go. In December 1943, an earnest 15-year-old boy named Willie James Howard was working during the holiday school break at a dime store in Live Oak, Florida. This is in Florida. He was an only child, and having made it to the 10th grade, was expected to exceed what anyone else in his family had been able to accomplish at that time. That December, he made a fateful gesture, unknowing or unmindful of a central pillar of Cast. He was hopeful, this little boy, so I'm talking about the little boy now, 15 years old. He was hopeful and excited about his new job and wanted so badly to do well that he sent Christmas cards to everyone at work. In one Christmas card, to the one girl his age named Cynthia, who worked there and whom he had a crush on, he signed with L, with love, for love. And so obviously for a 15-year-old boy, he has a crush on another little 15-year-old girl there, and he sends Christmas cards to everybody in the whole company because he's excited about his job. And here's what happens. It says, "It would seem an ordinary gesture for that time of year, sweet even, but this was the Jim Crow South, and the boy was black, and the girl was white. She showed the card to her father, and then word got back to young Willie James that his card had somehow disturbed her. So to help fix that, on New Year's Day, 1944, this is not that long ago, y'all, 1944, he hand-delivered an apologetic note trying to explain himself to the young girl. Here's what he said. He said, "I know you don't think much of our kind of people, but we don't hate you. All we want is to be your friends, but you won't let us. Please don't let anybody else see this. I hope I haven't made you mad." And he added a rhyme at the end. "I love your name, I love your voice. For a SH, for a sweetheart, you are my choice." The next day, the girl's father and two other white men dragged young 15-year-old, by the way, Willie James, and his father to the banks of the Swanee River. They hog-tied Willie James and held a gun to his head, a 15-year-old boy. They forced him to jump and forced his father at gunpoint to watch him drown. They hog-tied the boy, put a gun to his head, and forced him to jump into the river while he was all tied up, hands and feet, and forced his father to watch him drown. Held captive and outnumbered as the father was, he was helpless to save his only child. The men ended up, this is what ended up happening, the men ended up admitting to authorities that they had abducted the boy, that they indeed did it, they admitted to that, and bound his hands and feet, but they said that he just jumped and drowned on his own. Within days, the boy's parents fled for their lives, and then a young Thurgood Marshall of the NAACP alerted the Florida governor to no avail. The NAACP field secretary, Harry T. Moore, managed to convince the boy's parents to overcome their terror and sign affidavits about what happened that day their son was killed. Check this out. It ended up going to a local grand jury, and the jury refused to indict the boy's abductors, and no federal prosecutors would intervene. No one was ever held accountable or ever held to account or spent a day in jail for the death of Willie James. His abduction and death were seen as an upholding of the caste order. Thus, the terrors of the Southern caste system continued, carried forth without penalty, sanctioned as it was by the U.S. government. The caste system had not become simply Southern, had become not simply Southern, but American. That's from Isabel Wilkerson's Caste. Hands over the heart. Feel it. What do you feel? 1944. A 15-year-old boy had a crush on a little girl. Father had to watch him jump into the river, tied hands and feet. No one suffered a consequence who did the crime. So go ahead. What do you feel and where do you feel it? This is our practice. What do you feel and where do you feel it? Where in your body? Try to not just use your brain. Try to use the feelings wheel. The reason why I'm inviting you all to use the wheel is because it's going to expand your understanding of your vocabulary of what you think you're feeling. So just try to use it. You might even feel multiple things. You could pick multiple things off of the wheel. Scared, rage in my face. Amy, sadness in chest. Jen, Amy, Emily, furious in my heart. Mary Teresa, seething with rage in my face. Lindsay, enraged in my heart. Oh, read that. Melanie, in your arms. Karen, ashamed in your gut. Devin, disgusted and angry in my gut. Shannon, furious, heartbroken, disgusted in my eyes, chest, and throat. Eric, helpless in my face. Magdalena, outrage in your belly. This is big. Okay? This is big. And so as we're feeling this, we're allowing it to heal, because you have to recognize, okay? I told this story in the beginning about African Americans who had to push down their feelings and emotions up on the chopping block. But I need you to also recognize the cut off of humanity that's required of everybody in a racist caste system. The white people in that moment, to see a boy drowned and have his father do it, they also have to cut off their humanity and their emotions that might be connected to that humanity. And so we're all affected by this in different ways, but we're all affected by this. So when you look, when I'm talking ancestry, remember, these are all of our ancestors, right? The things the white people were doing and the things that the African Americans were doing. These are all our ancestors. And all of what we are today is in part created from that. So this is how it's healing: past, present, future, in the now. I think you all are starting to feel why this is all so important for us to be doing, and why I'm so committed to us doing this work on a deeper level. Because if you notice, we're not talking about racism. This is about what's underneath it. And that's what the liberation experience and everything that I do is about, what's underneath it. Because if we don't go to what's underneath it, it's like just treating sickness versus creating wellness. Two totally different things. All right, let's go to the next thing. This is we're shifting the energy a little bit, okay? So our brother Trey, who's here today, this warmed my heart so dramatically. So we have a few more things. Our brother Trey, who is an incredible member of our community. Trey's in the chat box right now. Trey, say what's up. And just remember, I know I'm kind of pulling us through different feelings. It's all good. You're good. Like, what I'm trying to help you notice is that this is what feelings do. Emotions, they come, they go, they come, they go, they come, they go, right? And so that's part of why we can't attach to them as it relates to our path, because this is what they're supposed to do. So next up, you're going to see this video of Trey that Trey posted on Instagram of him singing our song Unbounded. So I want you to watch this. It's very short, and then we're going to check in with how we feel. So just chime in, pull your energy in. We're on the next chapter, and watch this with all of your energy.
We rise together, stronger than ever now. We rise up now. Our voices matter, the chains we shatter now. We rise up now. I matter, you matter, we matter now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. So bring 'em out, y'all. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now.
Go Trey! Isn't that awesome? So just now into your heart, I'm going to put it back up. Go to the feelings wheel. First, check in with your body before you try to go outside of yourself to the wheel. What are you feeling? Where do you feel it? Has it moved? And now go to the wheel and notice what you feel. And let's type it in. What did you feel after watching Trey? And yes, I see Mary Teresa said I wasn't brave enough to post mine on social media. If y'all all in your inbox have the instrumental to Unbounded, I would love, even if you don't use the instrumental, for y'all to sing it and post it and share it with me, because I love reposting it and collecting it, even if you want to send it privately. Some other people sent it privately. All right, so people are saying joy. So I want to see, where did you all feel this in your body? Delightful in your heart. Delightful in my smile. Beautiful. Beth, delight. Everybody says delighted everywhere. Okay, so this is good. Delighted. So hopeful in my heart. Colleen, send it to me in an email and I'll be sure to repost it and share it. So hopeful in my heart, inspired in my throat. So you see how this moves. So just notice, okay? I want y'all to notice. We've been doing this practice right now that we're doing for about 13 minutes. And in the last 13 minutes, we've gone from terror and despair to rage and guilt and anger to now delightful and joyful and happy and hopeful. This is what your emotions are supposed to do. But when we sometimes get into those other emotions, we run away. Right? So how can we learn to practice being present for all that's being informed, all that's coming through us in this wave of emotions? What is it here to teach us? What is it here to show us? All right, we got a couple more. Okay, so, and I have a very special surprise for you for the last one, so stay tuned. So the next one that's coming up is another little video, okay? And this one I found, well, I won't say how I feel. So great. Trey says, powerful, appreciated in my smile. Beautiful. I love all these ones. So we got two more. Okay. So here comes another.
We rise together.
What would it take you to vote for Trump?
What would it take for you to vote for Trump?
I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny, but it's just like.
It's not even funny.
You gotta use your imagination.
I really gotta use my imagination.
Can you think of any scenario?
The fuck?
Oh my goodness, that one just kills me. So again, just simple. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that dramatic, right? Simple. Go in, notice. What do you feel after watching that one? Track it in your body. What is the emotional quality? And then open your eyes and look at the wheel and see if you can find some different words. What did you feel? Maybe multiple things showed up for you. What did you notice? And Alonzo, I'm gonna be asking you, so see if you can find one, if you could see. So there we go, joy. Some people, there's so many different things that we're feeling. Angry, full body, joyful and hopeful. LOL, that was great. Okay. Amused, throat, joy in my smile. That last part though, I know Trey, I think cracked me up, right? So this next one that we're gonna go to is really special. I have a special guest coming in the house. So we have a very special guest that I'm about to bring on the screen. And I'm super excited to introduce you all to our special guest today. And this is Alonzo. Alonzo, say what's up. Hey, so everybody, this is Alonzo. You've seen him so often. Oh, I think we should switch sides. Hold on. So I'm gonna put myself, oh, there we go. So we have Alonzo, who is an incredible member of our community and who is just absolutely amazing. And Alonzo is gonna play and sing a song for us. But before we begin, Alonzo, I just want to check in of how this has been for you as you're claiming and naming all the ways that you're feeling.
Yeah, well, that last one was, I felt really relieved because the other ones were really powerful emotions for me. Mm-hmm. So that one it was light and relieved, like I was just ready to laugh.
Yeah, and I think this is super important to name, Alonzo, because what we're doing, right, is we're noticing that like our emotions have such a big range, right? And like sometimes they're big, serious emotions that feel like really big and overwhelming and scary. And sometimes they're light, but they're always like running through our bodies. And so I know that you, share and express a lot of emotion in your music, which is, we wouldn't call that light. And so I wanted to take people into the emotional experience of your music right now, if you would give us the honor.
Well, this isn't my song. This is a song called Nothing Else by Cody Carnes, but whatever I sing, it's always an emotional experience for me. So.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family, everybody in between, welcome Alonzo.
I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Spirit, you don't know me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sing another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I just come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna see. I'm caught up in this holy moment, and I never wanna leave. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna see. And I'm caught up, and I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. You don't know me anything. I just want you.
Okay. So everybody, just for a moment, just drop in. Notice what you feel. I'm going to put the feelings wheel back up with us. How do you feel? How do you feel? Taking in that blessing, and then type that into the chat box. And Alonzo, I'm bringing you back up on the screen. What a blessing. So I want you to talk nice and loud into the microphone, and just, even as somebody performing, like, how do you feel and where do you feel it in your body after that? Because it'll be different than all the rest of us.
Yeah. So it's always in my stomach area that I'm always feeling my nerves when I sing. And so whenever I finish singing, if I feel that I connected, I usually feel this sense of like connection to what just happened. And so I'm just feeling that in my stomach right now. Just like I feel connected to love and light. And
It's so beautiful.
yeah.
I think it's so beautiful because what you're saying really illustrates what we're talking about here. And people are saying what they're feeling. So just notice what you awakened in people: pensive in lower back, trusting in the navel, awake and full of love for that gorgeous voice, content, open in my chest and throat, Anna said, satisfied from your chest to your fingertips, peaceful all over, peace and supported, like my whole body is floating in water, sentimental and serene. Amazing voice, Alonzo. That was so beautiful. Serene, thankful, connected. Yes. So just what I want to name for you is, just notice how much of an example this is. Like you said in the beginning, like sometimes I feel that nervousness in my stomach, right? And like if you allowed that nervousness to control your commitment to your path, then you may not do it because of the feeling, right? But notice,
Do it well.
right? Or a lot of things. You may not do it well. You may not do it at all. You may not, whatever. And so we're just noticing how much of a change in the fluctuation happens, but we still stay committed through our path. My mom said she feels peaceful through her toes. Okay. That's what he was. That's beautiful. Alonzo, I put a link to your Instagram in the chat box, but I also want everybody else to know if there's somewhere in particular you can say that people can also hear on the podcast where they can go to see your music and your incredible music videos that you have out and all of that.
Yeah, Instagram is where I'm at, and that's where I'm the most active. And I'm always here with you guys. So. And
your Instagram is at Story of Alonzo.
Story of Alonzo.
Yep, at Story of Alonzo. So I just put that in the chat box, and I'm also putting in Alonzo's new music video, which isn't church friendly, y'all. So just it's not church friendly. So thank you so much.
From a good place though.
It does. So thank you so much, Alonzo, for joining us. I'm super grateful to have you here. I love you,
Justin.
Love you. Bye. Just so y'all know, Alonzo is like an incredible part of this community. He's here with us every week. And y'all know I love to bring you forward and to share your talents. And I really am super grateful for you bringing your gift and sharing to the world with the authenticity that you do.
If I can speak for all of these 800 people here, is that we are grateful for you.
Oh, well.
And so thank you.
I'm grateful for y'all. All right. Bye, Alonzo. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. So everybody, we are towards the end of our session today. And what an incredible moment that we've gotten to share together, you know, to really dive into our feelings. And this emotions wheel is something that I want you to use. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit. So excuse me as I'm skipping forward through the slides for our ending right now. And I want you to think right now, just as we close, what is your main takeaway for this practice today? Hands over the heart, close your eyes for a moment. We covered a lot today. So what is the number one thing that you want to make sure you take away from this session today? Number one thing. Just think about it. And then make a commitment that whatever that number one thing that you remember, that you're going to share it with somebody today. You're going to share it with a family member, or a friend, or somebody you're on the phone with, or somebody you're seeing later, or talking to later, or even posting online, or whatever you want to do. And I'd love for you now to type that into the chat box so you remember. type into the chat box what your main takeaway was. And here is our practice that I'm going to give you. This is a really fun power action that I'll give you for the week. Keep the emotions wheel on your phone and set a timer, or an alarm rather, a repeating, recurring alarm on your phone for the same time every day. Anytime. It could be 3 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever you want. And I want you, as soon as that timer rings every day for a week, to just go to the wheel and check in with how you're feeling. And go to the wheel. Don't just do it. Like, the point of the wheel is to help you gain capacity and get larger knowledge and awareness around your emotional states and the language to use around it. So you go to the wheel and you go, okay, first, what am I feeling? You close your eyes, check it. Where do I feel it in my body? And then go to the wheel and try to name it. And this will expand your capacity in so many beautiful ways. Because just remember, what you don't feel, you can't heal. And what doesn't heal repeats. This is the power of our emotions. Your golden nuggets, Anna, pausing to feel your feelings, and you can have more than one emotion at the same time. And this journey that we went on together today, is taking us into greater capacity for healing. And this is the power of emotions. I love you all so much. I'm super grateful to be here with you. I mean, it really is just the greatest gift to be here with all of you. And we rise together. This is Justin Michael Williams signing out. And I'll meet you right here in this special place in our next session.